This is Kira with Elevated Thoughts, and I'll be talking about a movie called Discarded Things and how it relates to some of the life experiences I've gone through. And I think this movie also has a lot of real life situations and scenarios that people can relate to, which is definitely important. Um, One of the situations, the main character, her name is Grace, and there is a point in there where she is being assaulted by one of the deacons of the church, and her father is the pastor over the church. And then she ends up getting pregnant by the person that assaulted her, and obviously she started showing. So she had to tell her mom and her dad, and she told them, that she was assaulted by the deacon in the church. And her dad, who was the father, was very cold hearted towards her. He also was very disgusted by the fact she got pregnant, and then did not believe that the deacon assaulted her or that it was her own fault that he assaulted her, basically. Um, then he decides to send her away during her pregnancy so that no one in the church could see that she was pregnant, because he felt that people would not believe him as a pastor or think that he can run his household according to God's will. And while she's gone during that time, she has the baby. And once she has the baby, her father instructs the person that they had her stand with, which was her aunt, to get rid of the child. So she gave the child up for adoption. And Grace is kind of dealing with her life and kind of dealing with the pain and heartache from discarding that child, and just feeling like her father, the person that was supposed to protect her, did not believe her either. So that kind of put a really big strain on her. And for me, like I said in a previous video, I've been assaulted before. So I definitely know how hard it can be to, one, relive the situation, and also to even discuss it with someone or to talk up about it, because it can be very uncomfortable. Hey, Ralph. And so, and then my other connection to it was like, once I was pregnant and people in my church, noticed I was pregnant and saw my stomach. Like I've previously talked about, I was, removed from ministries, not able to be in the praise dance ministry, in the choir, in the pearls ministry, in any ministry at all, because I was no longer an example to other young women. And just feeling shamed, and people not even asking or even knowing how my pregnancy came about, just assuming because I was a young, attractive or finely looking woman, female, that I just was out there being fast and just, doing whatever, which is kind of crazy. But I had to figure out about forgiveness. And one of the things that I was talking about in my previous video, which is about anger, and just going through and actually dealing with some of the people that even then that I felt like I had forgiven them, because I just got over it. I was just like, whatever. I grew up, realized that my life was not over or anything like that. But I noticed that with certain people that I may not have thought I was angry with, when I get around them, they make me uncomfortable to the point where I almost want to just like disappear, not be around. And I make sure our conversations are very brief, and I kind of move around just to not be in a face. Like I thought I was over it. I thought that was still me forgiving, but honestly, it's not. And those are some of the people I needed to reach out to during my journey of getting rid of the baggage of anger. But in a lot of cases, for myself, it's been very easy for me to forgive. One, because God requires us to forgive. And in Matthew 6, chapter 6, verses 14 through 15, it says, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you don't forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses." And for me, even before knowing that verse in particular, I just always knew that if I wasn't willing to forgive, how could I expect God to forgive all the things that I do, whether I mean to or not? But they still can be and are offensive to God and what His desires are for my life. So I just, I definitely learned like getting rid of the baggage of not letting go of things. It does more harm to you than it does good. It causes you to, it kind of is like a toxic nature. It just goes from one thing, this one situation that made you upset and made you, not want to forgive them, to now it stems off to other parts of your life. Now you may not trust your husband to the capacity you could if you would have dealt with the sexual assault and spoke out about it, and then also, even informed your husband just so he would know how to tend to you and understand some of those moments where you may be a little withdrawn, that it's not him, it's just through some experiences you've been through. So forgiveness kind of really alleviates a lot of pain that you may feel and not even know it's because you haven't forgiven. You haven't let go of something that's holding you back, not allowing you to be at your full potential. And back to the movie too. Another scene there is that Grace is finally happy in her life, doing well in an organization she was working with, showing people music and using music to heal people. So she was just doing great, and she was married, had a husband she loved and that loved her, and was very romantic and just admired his wife. During the movie, he is driving home and his car spirals out of control, and he ended up dying. And for her, it became so hard for her to even want to talk to God or talk about God, because she felt that he had failed her and that he took away the one person that showed her what love was and cared for her effortlessly. So she started drinking and taking prescription drugs, and she just couldn't couldn't seem to get herself out of that hole and out of that hold of anger and just not understanding and just being holding on to something and wishing we can control situations in which we can't. So eventually she gets to a point where she's trying to go get more medication, more prescriptions, and she's already filled it up to the max, and she's not able to get it. She snaps at the pharmacist and everything, and then ends up going to a car, and she ends up falling asleep, and she goes back to the memory of her assault and the way her father handled her. And then she decided after that to go get the help she needed. She went to rehab, stopped drinking, started back reading the Bible, and just regaining that relationship with God as well. After a little while, she ends up working for this facility, this home for troubled youth, and she went to be a music teacher to show them the healing process and healing through music like she used to do. So at first she could not stand the kids. They were really rough, very rude, and she wasn't used to children like that. They were just not caring to learn. So she took the time to kind of go through the kids' files and learn a little bit about each one of them. And with her doing that, she became more compassionate, and she started understanding why some of those kids were the way they were. And also to see that she could be of help if she could be more patient with them and understanding. So then she works with the two owners of the business, which is a husband and wife. And I'm not going to make a spoiler of the movie because I think everyone should go see it. It's called Discarded Things. Once again, I think you should watch it. It really, I feel from every aspect, it could really help anyone that may have a hard time with forgiving or understanding God. Why do you allow certain things to happen? I believe this could answer or kind of soothe maybe some of those questions or concerns. But during the movie as well, she had an opportunity to speak with her father right before he passed away. And she she decided to talk to him about the situation and asked him, could he give her whatever information he had about her son that she had given up for adoption, or that he made her give up for adoption. And he said he didn't know. He just told them to get rid of the child. And she had one picture of her child, and her father had took that from her when she was younger. So she lost the one little memory she had with her child. And once her father passed away, she gets an envelope in the mail, which is that picture she had got taken, that her father had taken from her so many years ago of her and her child together. So for her, that was a little something to give her a ray of hope and just feeling, like God, even after all of these years, you're still there for me. You still comfort me. And I think that really helped her with her process with working with the youth as well. But I can't wait till you guys check out the ending of the movie because it's definitely really nice, and it's it just shows you that not all the time do we get those things that we want in life, or things don't happen as fast as we want them to. But God doesn't ignore our prayers. He doesn't not hear what we're saying. Maybe for whatever reason that we don't know of, that time, that season, it didn't work out, but God can restore anything. That's definitely what I've learned. I've restored and mended relationships with some of the people I've already spoken out to with the anger video that I went over. And I just started to feel even better and better and more alleviated to the fact that I can just kind of call and speak to that person again, and that separation isn't in there as much as it once was. And I just know that it can be extremely hard to forgive, especially when people that we trust hurt us the most, which is usually the people that end up hurting us. But forgive for yourself. Don't forgive for anybody else but you. Because even in most cases, that person that has wronged you, they go on with their lives. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about the pain or the hardship or the anger or anything that you may be feeling. You're the one sitting there upset and continue to be, feeding into something that isn't good for you and is going to weigh you down. And once you do start to forgive, you will feel a little lighter. You'll start to smile a little bit more just because you're letting stuff go. Let it go for you. But I thank you guys for spending time with me. I will be uploading another video this week. Probably go live as well the day before. I'll post to say the time just in case anyone wants to get on and chime in. But thanks, Ralph, as well for your comments. I definitely think you should watch it. It's a great movie. But have a good one.